expenditures are, and I think our top priority though was the project for the QR code on or near the buildings. We'll have to get permission from building owners, obviously, to do that. But if not, there should be space on the sidewalks to put some of the QR codes.
We did get approval. I did email Kim Parks and Bridget Jones from the Tennessee Downtown Grants, and I gave them our suggestions from the last meeting, and they said all of those fall within the guidelines of the grant. So she's asking for some information to get back to her pretty quick on. One is pricing, like what our budget and how many benches, what does each bench cost? So now we have to do our due diligence and get some good numbers for her so she knows.
Okay. Great. So starting out, Andy, were you going to look at the QR code? You were on that piece of it. Were you able to find any information?
As far as cost, it shouldn't be too much, I would think. But I do agree that it should, like Saul had mentioned, stick more toward the historical mapping aspect instead of the businesses, because they do, if there is overturn and change, if it focused more on the historical landmarks, I think that would be good, and it wouldn't need much updating over time. And if it went on with the wayfinding signs, or signage on the buildings, built in such and such year, and having the QR code right there on if it was metal or whatever material we decided to go with. But as far as like pricing individually, I'm not sure if they get up for that.
I have someone that reached out after the last meeting, Claire, that was here. She has a family member within the city that can provide us with some good numbers, and he can do the work too. So if we want to reach out, I have his information.
Okay. As far as the work, doing the signs?
Yeah, and lasering in the QR codes and whatnot.
How many businesses are there, that this is going on? We know how many businesses, but how many buildings?
So I came up with, starting downtown, I came up with around 10 places that we could do buildings, and from starting at the end, the Jabley building, next building would be the Maloof building, Abernathy building, then you've got the old theater, which is where Home Bank was, then you have the New York restaurant, Shibley's across the road where Habanero's is, the one on the corner here where the outfitters store is. That one I think was probably 50s. Obviously City Hall. Also thought about St. Catherine's and St. Mark's potentially are points of interest, as well as if we could put something at the graveyard at Cemetery Hill might be another.
Mayor Parker, could you put that together in a list
Sure,
on a
absolutely.
document?
Yeah.
So that we have that, we can show that to the state of Tennessee. And
That was the piece I was missing, because I was like, well, y'all would know what those would be, because I was like, I could guess. But
Beyond that, we can look at where Colonial Hotel was, one of the smelter store where it was located, which is now the post office. There was a couple others, but ballpark, it's kind of a historical spot as well. But depends on what our cost is, and then go from there.
I guess another part of that is the design of it. So if we focused on, a historical walking map and how interactive that would be. Say you scan a QR code at the Maloof building, and it would bring up a landing page or just go straight to a layout of a map. And it would show points of interest and all the different stars you could click on, and it would bring that up or show you how to go from there. I don't know how, again, we kind of talked about this at the last meeting, that a designer can come up with all the greatest ideas in the world, but the actual person to put it together would be like, well, no, we can't do that, but we can do this. So it's a matter of like how the pieces to fit together to make it interactive and good for the user when they do scan those QR codes and what that would take them to. And if it could live on the City of Copperhill website or if it has to be a separate website in itself.
They can live on the site. I don't
Yeah.
see why not.
Yeah.
I would say we start with the must-have features, and if we can add on to it, then we do. That way we're not putting too much on ourselves where we end up under-delivering. So
Right.
that's kind of how I do all my projects. It's like, this is the MVP, this is what I must have, and then here's a list of nice-to-have features if you can do them.
Cool.
So,
Yeah. Okay. So, but as far as cost on that, would you mind?
as far as the web,
Yeah.
oh, I'll donate my time. So you would,
Oh,
yeah, you
very
you don't
nice
have to worry
of you.
about
And
that.
anything I can donate my time to as well, I'd love to do that.
Perfect.
Time.
So potentially our cost would be just in the signs.
The making of the
The
signs,
signs.
of the plaques.
So thought-wise on that, I mean, we originally said metal, which is great. I guess the thought is, would someone steal those just to scrap them out? I mean, especially, not necessarily downtown, but places where, like the cemetery, would that get stolen? Longevity, would plastic be better than metal? Those are all questions that we need to answer as well, or start thinking about, or researching, I guess, to see.
If we can do them in stainless, they won't rust.
True.
I mean, they might steal them.
Depends on how it's mounted, right?
Right, mounted to the building, I don't think is a problem. If,
But
you know,
for
if
the
they're
other-
mounted up there, but like for Cemetery Hill maybe,
Mhm.
and some of the others. No, the church, we can still mount on the churches, will they let us?
Well, we'll have to get permission
Right,
from
get permission,
everybody,
right,
right?
everybody.
So some might be on buildings, others might be on some type of pole design. So that's another thing we need to find out exactly who's going to allow us to do what and where.
That's a document creation right there.
Absolutely, of course.
So divvying up responsibilities, obviously we've got our IT here donating time however needed. We need to kind of break this up into tasks. So as far as getting quotes, I don't know who you're comfortable like doing that, but I don't mind doing that, but we just need a list of and what it is and what type of materials. And maybe they can quote us out different materials they can use.
Correct. Typically, we like I've been digging. I've been trying to pull like three quotes for benches and banner hardware and whatnot. So that's kind of the
Okay.
benchmark. Would be about 3 quotes
Okay.
if we can,
Mhm.
and then look at it both ways. I guess and come up. We need to determine if we're going to do plastic or metal, and because I don't know which is best. There are pros and cons to both. In my head it's metal, but
Could we ask, I don't know who would offer that in plastic, but I would like to see how they wear over the course of time. I think, a lot of times when you see the plastics, they turn yellow. I guess it's gonna depend on what you're gonna get as far as plastic goes. But I would like to see or ask if we can, when we ask for a quote, if we can see an example of maybe what this plastic looks like down the road. Because I would sure hate to spend the initial outlay on something that will be an eyesore later. Whereas I know the metal may rust, but the stainless might not, so,
I think what we'd be asking for is UV acrylic.
okay. And it's,
Yeah,
And it's meant
essentially
to
like a
be, it's just meant to be outside.
it is, okay,
Mhm.
okay, good. All right.
But of course, it's more expensive than non-UV coated, whatever, acrylic,
Okay.
but for outdoor display and everything, that's what they use. So,
Okay.
Don, what's our time frame? What's our date again that we have to have this all done by?
We need it in by May,
19th.
was it May 19th, I think? Yes, it was May 19th. Yes, that gives us a few days to be on our 60 days. It's just a few days before the 60. That made us 56 days, I think, so that gave us 4 days play.
Part of this, you need to figure out the size.
Yeah,
'Cause that's how you get your quote.
Yeah.
Right, yes.
And two, I don't know if we wanted to do, you know, like Andy's drawing last week where she drew it out. Do you still have your drawing with you?
Of course I changed versus.
That's okay. She drew the sign, with the QR code on it, and then there was maybe a separate if the business wants to do one as well, and they can pay for it too, but maybe under that, if the business wants to do that. We're just gonna shoot for the historical,
Yeah, I mean, that would be up to them if they wanted to.
and if the
do-
business wanted to add their own QR code, they could probably go through whoever we use to do one specifically for their business.
But not on the
Not on the
initial
one,
square.
no,
Right,
on
right,
the initial
okay.
square, straight up historical sign.
My thinking was
signage.
something like this to go under like, it depends on how each business storefront is with each different door and sign, but I was thinking something like this, but maybe something bigger to draw attention with each business and the differences between each storefront, you know what I mean? Like some doors are different and but it's something on the brick wall or, how, whatever the material is that the wall would be on, but I don't know if we want to go with something bigger or if a QR code could fit on here with all the information we want at the top, so.
Thinking 8 by 10 or
Yeah, a bit bigger.
something a little bit bigger than that,
Mhm.
so that you could have enough room. I don't know what you think, but,
Yeah.
it's gotta be a little bigger than that, I think.
I would
Yeah,
think,
whatever.
yeah. These are the ones I've seen.
Like where
in-
it say Maloof built,
Yeah.
yeah, but we needed to say, whatever the building name is,
There would be
whether
a
it's
bit
Maloof
more
or
on there.
Abernathy or whatever, and
Yeah.
then we need a place for that QR code.
Yeah.
But big enough to catch your eye when you go past it.
Right. Ball Ground was a place that has a lot of historical markers on all their buildings, and they had them this size, but given the information we went on there, I agree, a little bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So do they have QR codes on theirs?
They do not.
Okay.
Ball Ground, Georgia.
They just got a plat with something that says the history of, what you're saying?
What theirs are, it says, building built or established this year was this and such year and is now, it doesn't say what it is now because it could change, but it's basically like when the building was built and what it was for that time period, like the.
So, excuse my ignorance if this was addressed last week, because I don't know. But I'm wondering how are we connecting all of these pieces? Like, if I scan one QR code, do I know that there are other QR codes at other places? Like, does that come, that's part of the piece, yes?
Yeah, it's part of the website.
Oh, sick, okay. All right, cool. So that pops up in addition, when you get the historical information and boom, you can go here too.
Yeah, like you
Cool.
could click on the other ones or you could walk to see
Right,
the different places on like
Cool.
an interactive map a little
Sweet.
bit.
Andy, were y'all thinking last week was as part of the design of having a call to action on the actual QR code signage? Like a
Scan
Scan
me.
me for history.
Scan me
Yeah.
for history or, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
So, next question, I guess, on the sign, do we want to maybe put the year of that the building was built, potentially, just have that etched in there along with whatever logo we decide to go with, whether it's the pick and shovel or whatever, for the Copper Basin, Copperhill. We need to figure that piece out too, and then with the QR code.
So like on the Maloof building, it would say Maloof building established da da da,
Yeah, I don't even know that we need to,
but
I
they
mean,
put
that,
the building name on it. Well, there's on the sidewalk anyway, but.
right, I don't know if we want to go that deep into it unless we just want to put established whatever year and then visit QR code.
That makes more sense to me, because if I'm looking at it and I see Maloof built, I don't know what that means. I might as well scan the, if I'm gonna scan the QR code, that's gonna come with the information anyway.
Well, that's
Yeah.
So established whatever day
Yeah.
you see,
Yeah.
scan here for history.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And that way, that's a great point. It's not redundant, whereas it's gonna pop up on
Right,
that map
right,
and say what this
exactly.
was and what
Sure,
it means.
it
and go
incentivizes me to want to do it even more, right?
Yeah.
I'm not giving away everything.
Yeah.
And some
right.
have been multiple things, like the home bank was probably in the theater building longer than the theater was. I don't know.
Okay,
So
yeah.
that-
Does anybody know of any communities that have done this that we could go to look at for ideas, examples?
QR codes, I can find.
That would be interesting.
I'm not aware of any, I've
Yeah.
never seen it before.
Okay. I'll do a little research on that, see what I can find out.
Maybe we'll be the first.
That'd be fun.
So, good points. What, anything else to add to that piece? And I guess we need to, who is going to be the the front person on that.
Are you talking about the one looking for the cost?
Getting the cost estimates.
Sarah, you wanna?
I just have
Later?
one person that was suggested is with HC Brands. And so we could go to them for a quote. They're local.
Sure.
And then if somebody else, I mean, sure, I don't know. So if anyone else wants to suggest, I'll be glad to call them. If we have agreed upon size as being like, what size do we want to do?
You wanna do 8 by 10? Or,
Is a square better than what's y'all's thoughts?
what shape?
10
Rectangle,
by
square?
10, 8 by 10?
I think it'll depend on, like what's a standard size for the printer.
Okay, so what if we got in the 10 range and then they say, well, in stock standard size is this, and then we get within like a 10 by 10, a 10 by 11, 10 by 12, somewhere in there. Does that work? Because
It's worse with
she's right, they're gonna tell me, okay, we have our cut metal at this size, so
Mhm.
Okay,
our machine cuts at this size, so we'll have to go off of that a little.
perfect.
Okay,
And I guess we can look online for other sources, just to,
yeah.
Like Vistaprint or something.
right, yeah, Vistaprint's great.
I don't know if they do metal.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
I
do
don't
they
know.
do
I
metal?
don't
I don't think they do.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you
yeah.
But you
They
know-
do, you think?
I've seen that.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
yeah, we've got,
Is that-
now, and there's a laser etcher that I'm aware of in the Murphy area, and then there's a CNC plasma cutter
Yeah.
out, Blue Ridge 4x4 does that, I know. And then the guys who do the engraving are just outside of Murphy. So we've got a couple of options in that regard, and they do wood or metal, either one.
And if we can do something local,
You're in
is-
charge of
is-
that.
I've had to get metals made for whatever reason, so.
do you want to be the owner of this? Who's doing this?
Yeah, no, right, exactly, who's
Right,
doing
who's
it,
doing
because if
this?
you're gonna take the lead, you got it.
I can get some quotes. I'll just need sizes and kind of what we're looking for. Yeah, but I've got those two I could reach out to, certainly. And now it
You
may
have
be the
a person
case.
Yeah.
To tell him who it is.
Yep, I can share another one. with
Okay,
you, too.
okay, sweet, yeah, that'll be perfect. And then, the thing I guess what we would need to do, for the CNC, I'd have to see if he could do the cutting, but I wonder if we could do it almost, and I don't know that I've ever seen this, but I guess it would work. If you could essentially make a QR code and cut it straight into a piece of metal, rather than, like cut the holes and stuff all out.
Right.
I mean, okay, that's conceivable. All right, cool. So
I
yeah, I
don't
can get in
know
touch with
if
those guys
you
on that.
can, but yeah.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Mhm.
All right,
Okay,
I can, if you give me, well, I can just send him a QR code and say, hey, can you do this? No, it won't
Well, they
matter if it's
can-
our specific one.
They can put a spray on it, and the heat of the laser actually makes it darker.
Right,
So then you can take your QR code. I
okay,
dabble in it a little bit. So.
cool.
okay,
That's
all
I
right,
don't do metal, but I do the acrylic.
okay.
Okay.
All right, sweet, okay,
Good.
Probably like 10 by 11 probably best.
okay.
10 by 11.
And who are you?
I'm Jessica Chapman. Are you the cabins at Copperhill?
Right here.
Lisa.
Yeah. I'm right up the hill from there.
Oh, you need a job?
I own the big shed that's like 70 by 40.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
I need people.
Alright, so we
We,
pretty
do we
well.
need a design before we ask for this?
And an actual QR code, maybe?
And it doesn't have to be a finalized design, it can be a rough draft, because I'm assuming anybody you're gonna go get a quote from is gonna ask you for
Sure.
what it is that you want us to
Yes, right.
Will the QR codes they'll all be different for each
do.
building?
They'll be in the general same shape, so that would be, that you can use one fits all. It's just more with the text than I guess size. Text, any logos or anything you want to put on it.
So we'll have, on the buildings, what's the thought? We'll have established the year, QR code.
The name of the building, right? Or
We decided
no name?
potentially no
Okay,
name
got it.
because
Alright.
of,
no names.
some of them have just changed through the years. And the Jabley building might not, like Jake said, might not come, it means something to me, but it might not to someone else.
Sure.
But when they go to the site, they'll,
Get the history.
that's-
Yeah,
And
they
that's
established
scan here for
your
history.
scan B for history or scan
And
here
then-
for history. Yeah.
And then the logo probably at the bottom or something like that. And then I don't know if y'all, what was
Yeah, that was it. But, and there, here, sorry, I don't mean to get too technical and go down this rabbit hole, but would the QR codes be different for each spot?
You don't
If
like
I
QR codes?
want to scan, say, at one building and it pops up on that map, but it has a, like I say, a bubble or a little pop-up that gives me a synopsis of that building, and then I can click on the others and they would bring that up. But if I'm at this center, if I'm at the Cemetery Hill and I scan that QR code, it would bring up that location. So they, okay, yep. Same shape, different QR code.
Okay, perfect. So we're square on that.
I think so.
Okay.
So what I'll need from you guys is the size that we want to do. I'll need the text that we're going to use, and then I'll need the number of plaques that we're going to do. That would be what they would give us an accurate estimate, I think.
And if anybody can think of any other spots in town, the bridge is not that's not Copperhill, but it has significance to us all. So,
I'm sure they'd be cool with us putting.
It could be endless though.
Right, yeah, it could be.
But nonetheless, we'll start there. I'll get some numbers to Jake and copies.
As far as a form, like a release form from the owners of the buildings, surely there's something out there in the World Wide Web that is like a release form on putting something on a private property. But who wants to be in charge? I mean, that's illegal.
Right.
That's
Let the city, we'll work on that piece
Okay.
of it.
All right.
Just in a quick search, guys, I found the site that I would like everybody to try to take a minute to go to. It's called Hillard, Hilliard, History Express. HillardHistoryExpress.org. They've done what we're talking about, and it looks pretty cool. So look through that if you ever get free time.
if we went on your Wi-Fi, is that even a possibility?
See if I can pull it.
If not, it's okay.
It would have been. They just got a new thing. I don't.
Yeah, they
I
just
don't. I don't know what
reset
their
it.
password is.
Okay,
Do
that's
we,
fine. That's fine.
I guess the other piece of this would be, do we just need a quote, or do you guys need do you need a sample? Do you want to see it before it's done? I don't
need- I
because we're kind of,
imagine
I mean, I guess
we're on a time.
with time constraints, that's kind of what I'm wondering.
Yeah, so we may not need it in hand, but if they can give us.
Give it a mock-up?
Uh-huh.
We can, okay.
And
That's
then,
doable.
what was the first part of that one? Yeah, we don't need it in hand,
Okay,
because I'll probably have to submit that.
okay,
too.
okay, that's fine. All right, cool.
Now, how are you wanting to put these on the buildings? Like, because they'll probably want to know that too. Like, if you're gonna drill it in the brick, you
Right.
want to pre-make the holes and stuff.
And that would be part of that release form.
Yeah.
Saying we might, for longevity, we have to
Yeah.
secure it
Get them to sign
appropriately.
off.
Yeah,
Sooner or
right,
later.
right.
If any
Yes.
of the buildings are historical, are any of the buildings
Registered as historic?
registered?
Yes. All, most of the ones I mentioned are.
So that makes
that
it
might-
interesting too, because we have to say we're screwing into their building.
I mean, what they put on those buildings so far is.
Amen. I get it. I totally get it.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, like,
I got what you're saying. We
it
need
can't
to-
come back on us, because, you know what I'm saying?
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It would only take like us trying to do something good to have it come back,
Where's your thing of what to do?
And I don't know, nobody seems to be, they painted buildings downtown.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's been
I- yeah.
multiple, Abernathy buildings had.
Understood.
And it's
Yeah.
registered, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know how that works. Complete ignorance on it. I don't know.
This building is registered, some of the houses are registered, but nobody seems to be in compliance with that, so.
Sure.
So I googled it. Now I shouldn't have done this. So I found one where there's 2 QR codes. One where you can see the history of that building, and then the other one where it takes you the history of the city or more broad. So I don't want to open the can of worms.
Can I ask you a question though? If we just went back to one on the history, yeah, that's good. That's nice. That does look nice.
Oh.
Oh, what is, yeah, look good.
It does look nice.
I like the way that looks, yeah.
Well, let me just rule out this. When you do the history of that building and you click on this link, can there be like a sub-link that you can click on that says to learn more about the history of the city, and they could click there?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. I mean, I'm just saying overall cost and whatnot, you can still provide all of that information. It's just gonna be, okay, they're totally bought in if they click on it anyway. And then there's gonna be a sub-link there that they can click on if they wanna know the whole history of Copperhill.
Okay, good point.
But it does look, that's cool. I just don't know what the cost, you know,
Right.
to
Yeah, it costs.
engrave.
Right, right.
Yeah.
All right. So we're all square on that piece, correct? Okay. So what was our second? We talked about banners, we talked about benches, and then the lighting piece, and I think lighting is going to be at the bottom of the list. Depends on how much money we have left over, because we have to look at those options as well. So
Did you pull up your benches to see how much they cost per
yes,
bench?
I did. You can go anywhere from $500 to $2,000. I've pulled some estimates, and the one I think those that are put my banner. I was looking for a piece of paper and I finally found it. So like for instance, let's see the price on that. Okay, so here's one, $1,221. And these, I was looking at the recycled plastic type composite. These, and you can get like a black metal, and then you can do brown, green, hunter green, like a cedar-ish color, or like a lighter color as well on those.
What does McKaysville have?
McKaysville has black. They have
Is that the
metal.
same type of materials as
No,
metal?
no, this is more of a composite. Now, I was only looking for in front of the bank building. There's 5 spaces, I figured that they could be placed there between the lights, was my thought. Because you can get into some money, like this one, $1,217 a bench. And we don't, this is just for the composite. There are other options out there, but every one seems to be, 2,000 seem to have been the max on even the metal ones. So depends if we want to go black. If we want to completely match McKaysville, that's something we need to look at and look at what they have and go from there. I understood that folks bought those for $1,000, so I'm not sure how, and they put the plaques on them, and I'm not sure what.
And that's a metal seat? Are they metal seats?
There's appear to be, they're
You
metal.
don't burn your backside
No.
when you sit on them?
They're
No.
black and they're slick and they're pretty good.
Okay, even on a hot day, you're not
Yeah.
gonna have to sit. Okay, that's all I care about.
Yeah. Here's, but, and then I get these books all the time. So, and you can get one $600 some odd dollars, $9.95 for this one. So
I
it
like that
depends.
one. Is that
Yeah, these are
nice?
nice.
That's real nice.
That's the
Well, the
composite, the
composites
plastic,
do.
I guess, or?
I mean, but you can match trash cans to
Sorry about
that.
Here's the 1221.
These books come to see, I threw a bunch away the other day, and I only had this one left. I was like, I don't need
You
these.
you just got a bench book.
It's got benches and guess what other speed humps. Kaysville must have gotten this one. Well, Kaysville. Anyway, if anybody wants to look at these, just kind of get some ideas of bench.
This is the 1221 one.
Now, composite
Yeah,
does
that's
get
right.
hot too. If anybody's ever been on a truck,
Recycled
they're
plastic.
with bare
So-
feet or by a pool, holy mackerel.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that people can actually sit and enjoy sitting in them. I don't know what the material is, I don't really care as long as they can sit there
That
without
truck's
burning
stuck in.
their backside in the summer.
We
Right.
could try
I'm
this
no
week, it's
expert on
supposed to get
that,
87 degrees,
I know.
so we could go sit on them occasionally.
But she says they're all good, so I believe
Pretty
her.
slick.
Yeah.
I mean, the metal's etched off and the paint is real
Yeah.
nice. I think so.
Are we gonna give the people option to buy, or to donate to buy, or
Right.
are we
Yeah.
giving the option to the citizens to?
Sponsor a bench for
We could, I can get with Zachary Welch, and see what McKaysville did. I think he was really involved with that at one point.
Maybe we could recoup some of that money and get the good ones. I mean, that's, I don't know.
I like
So-
the $900 one.
Yeah, those are nice. And if they did theirs for 1,000, I'm not sure if they got like a bulk discount, but they did plaques and the benches. I understood that you could buy one for $1,000 and put whatever family member name on there if you wanted to.
I'm sure they got that.
I would think the only issue we would run into there would be time constraints once again. So I wonder if we couldn't later just come behind that and say we will affix a plaque to a bench.
And I think it's
Oh, wow.
something that should be highly promoted.
Sure.
Like, it
Right,
should be
yeah,
a
exactly.
big deal tied in with a big event where it's a plaque.
Sure.
Like, make it big, make it seem like it's an honorable moment to put these plaques on these benches, and, they can donate their plaque. We can have it done by whoever. If we like the company we use for the QR codes, great. If not, we'll move on to
Sure.
something else. Yeah.
Perfect.
Do we have to come up with a certain dollar amount immediately on these?
It's gonna be pretty quick, yeah. In
Yes.
fact,
So I
these
know we have
quotes
to
need
have
to be
a
worked on.
design plan by May something, but does all of the costs have to be completely?
If we can get close, like, if we find out the amount of buildings and we get quotes on what per sign is,
Yep.
we're gonna know how many buildings we can do. And then Mayor has pricing on some of these benches, so I don't know if you want to decide on a bench tonight, or,
We don't have to, and I think if project number one is QR coding, I think
Yes.
we find out what that
Exactly.
Yes.
is.
Find out
and
there,
then
then
we-
move on
I
back.
mean, I'm a little concerned with, you said several buildings, so I don't know what they cost, but that'll be interesting, because maybe that uses up most of our money.
It could. It definitely could. And we can peel back. I just, thinking of all, like Saul said, here's the MVP. This is what we really want, and then you go down from there. But I think it's good if we're going to do a couple. I think it's good to do as many as we can.
Yeah.
Because they're all interesting. Each one has its own history. It's so.
Well, and we can always expand that idea going down the road too. If, these are successful and we start with 6 or we start with 5 or whatever, we can add more down the road as more money becomes available. It's not
Well,
one
why
and
don't we
done,
start
really.
just in the buildings in downtown then, and expand later maybe to Cemetery Hill and to the things that are not where people can just walk up and see.
Yeah.
The farther, the outer points,
I mean, my
Just
thought
focus
is,
in downtown first.
let's see my rebuttal that be, let's see what the cost is first.
Yes,
Because
Absolutely.
Cemetery Hill is where H.T. McKay is buried, that he and his first wife is buried at Kingtown, but they owned, this was where their farm was, so I think they're important.
Well,
So I think,
absolutely.
City Hall's important. It's,
Do we have a preference? Do we have a preference as to material? Because these guys are going to have a variety, is what I'm going to say. So I would say that we're most likely looking wood or metal.
Like Colonial Hotel.
As far as, and then I'm assuming what you're talking about is almost kind of mounting between and like a
No wood.
plexiglass.
You could do metal and then there's like a standoff with
Yeah.
4 screws.
Right,
Like
right,
acrylic.
yes.
And then you could put the UV on top or
Sure.
the QR code on top.
Yes.
It kind of gives it a little bit of dimension.
Sure. Okay,
think-
so we want to focus metal.
Yes.
I think metal and acrylic.
Okay, metal and
Because,
acrylic. All
since
right.
there was,
And then I would assume,
And then you can also change the QR code down the road. You can
Yes, you
unscrew it
could.
if you need
All right.
to.
Yes.
and then I assume we want to do, I would think, if we had a choice of color, we would go for copper.
Yes.
Yeah. That would make sense to me. All right, cool. Good deal.
So, and then I looked at the banners, the hardware. numbers are all over the place. I'm not an expert on banners. One piece of that puzzle too is making sure we get permission from anybody that concerned if we put it on their pole, that they're gonna allow us to do that, which I'm working that as well. So I've gone that route, but you know, I've got as much as $4,800 for banners. Then another one's like $1,875, which I think is a more reasonable amount. But you have to be cognizant of the fact that some of the poles, some of this hardware is made just for the smaller, like metal poles. So which you're seeing more of. You don't see them on light poles as much anymore. So I had to be really careful to make sure that it would go around the light poles. So seems like we're looking at a couple grand just in hardware for these if I'm looking at the right stuff. But we really need to make sure that we're getting, and I guess we can consult with some other cities that have done that, make sure we get the right hardware.
Obviously, I know Ducktown did it, and,
Okay.
yeah, and theirs was with grant money too, so I don't know if they contract, you know, who they use to do that. That's on those big silver poles.
They're on the, okay. Are they as big as the light poles? We have like the
I think they're
the
bigger than
ones.
your.
Okay, good, that's
Yeah,
perfect.
I think they're bigger.
All right, so maybe we look at theirs and see exactly what they did and go from there. Now, I counted 25 poles that we could put them on potentially, just from City Hall down and then out all the way out to so where Dr. Wynn's office is on the other side at Waterfront, and coming forward to downtown to the bridge. There's 25, so you can reduce from there, but that would be the maximum. I even thought about down at the ballpark if we wanted to do some in front of the ballpark and that vicinity as well, because we're really wanting to start promoting the ballpark. So that would be more than 25 if we did that, but that's kind of where we are with that. None of this included banners. Banners would have to be separate and.
That was just hardware.
That's just hardware.
That's, yeah.
Right. The hardware was quite pricey.
That 15,000's gonna go fast.
Right, so.
That's not a lot of money nowadays.
That's why it's like, okay, we need to see what our number one priority is, and then back down from there. And then lighting, really looking at that lighting piece, it is a challenge. Dollar-wise, we can spend a lot of money with that. I almost think it would be less expensive to take out what we have down there and put in solar lights for those spaces. We already have street lights up, and the added would just be more for the looks of it anyway. I think it would help a lot. Those, we found some really nice looking ones that last for 3 days. If they're charged up, they last three nights. And they were less than $400 sold, is that right? So looking, we have 6 light poles in front of BB&T, Truist, the bank building. So, you know, we can, that would be last on our list,
Can
which I think.
those existing light poles be retrofitted with this solar system?
The answer is yes. However, looking at the pole and what was available, I don't know that we can find something that really works aesthetically that's going to meet our needs. And maybe we can find that, but initially I didn't really find anything that would work that great. But that's the first thing that I tried to do, was to just retrofit them, and we might can find something. I would like for the light to shine downward if we could. That would be somewhat helpful right now. But when they are on, they don't really provide a lot of lighting.
So just for charm, mostly, I think.
Right, it's absolutely aesthetics. So.
Are they similar? I've really not paid that close attention. Are those light poles similar to the ones in the Kaysville across the bridge? Are they?
No, they're older. I mean, we had ours up before they had theirs, but they're older, and ours are more. I mean, they all are in the same family, but theirs are just a little different.
So
Ours are really nice.
When you say you found an option for $400, what was that specifically for? A new pole? Not a new pole.
It was a pole. Actually, it was a pole and light. Yeah.
What's the material on that?
I'm sorry?
What was the material? What's
They
the
were
main-
metal Rexall.
Yeah, aluminum.
Might not be the greatest, so that, I think I'm gonna get one for the gym, the exit of the gym up here. And so I might can
Try it out.
Try it out
Guinea
first.
pig
Yes,
it a
right
little
here.
bit.
That's nice.
You say 3-day charge, can you set them on a timer where they have the charge longer?
No, sir.
So it's just like you put,
Were they on remote control though?
Not those, no. They have an on and off, and they charge when there's sun, and they just store the charge. Say you have 2 days where there's no sun,
Yeah.
they'll be on 3 nights.
Not historic, but yeah.
but somebody have to cut them on, or is it on a timer?
Nope, they do their own thing. Just dust
So they-
it on.
We don't usually
Just
go without
enough.
sunlight for more than 3 days, do we?
It's
Not
rare.
here.
No, it's
I mean,
rare.
I left an area that could go 60 days. So that's awesome.
Where'd you in Alaska?
It felt like that. Felt like it.
So those are the items I think, you know, again, QR going just down the list and figuring out if we prefer benches over banners.
Good with that? Everyone? Sure. Okay.
And if we do benches, if we have, let's see what the QR cost is, see how we go there, see what kind of money we got left. If we do that, maybe we can just do 2 or 3 benches if we got any money left. But just something to start with to put down there for if we're gonna come back later with the idea to promote, you know, to do the benches, have people, you know, have people do a bench. Then we have something down there for them to look at and say, you know, we're looking at doing this kind of a bench. You know, if we're going to, what is that word? If we're gonna have people to, you know, commemorative benches. Then we could have a bench or 2 sitting here in town, maybe on the sidewalk there to say, this is what we're planning on doing, and we can have them sponsor a bench. But it would be the similar bench, so maybe we find out something pretty nice. I really like that one. It just struck me. And we can do trash cans just like it on either end. Where'd that book go? It's not this book. I think it's where it's at. Is it this book?
Yeah, it was that.
I was gonna
Trash
trash
cans in
cans.
It's
Speaking
that
of-
one, right there.
It was that one, yeah.
It was this one
Yeah.
right
Is there
here.
trash
See,
cans there?
there's matching trash cans.
Yeah, matches
There's a
trash
few.
cans.
The trash cans are
Oh, they're
quite
pretty.
pricey.
I do. mine.
They're actually not bad.
There's a
They're not
issue
bad.
with the trash cans.
And even
Yeah.
this kind of a bench.
Okay,
have
I'll
some
leave
benches where they can
Ask
just-
later.
Yeah.
I'll leave that alone.
Notice that now and see
okay.
what they
This
think.
bench?
Yeah, like this one or
We was
this.
trying to
or-
find the classy trash people. I don't know if you guys
This
remember,
is the one that Donna likes.
for a number of
So
years,
what y'all
we
think
had
about that?
trash cans downtown.
Yeah, that's one.
Were they barrels?
I can't remember. I
But they
was
were
pretty.
tuxedo,
And
they
I
had
had
tuxedo paint. They said classy trash.
It was here?
That was a
Yes.
sliver of press
They
memory.
were downtown for years.
Yes.
Well, we wouldn't even know what to do with ourselves if we saw
Right.
classy
I think we
trash.
should bring that back.
Think about that. About 1990, late 80s, early 90s, they did them.
Yes.
That's the one
I
I
forgot
remember.
all about
You like this one? This
I think that was Janelle's project.
Nice.
Classy.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
very
yeah,
nice.
it's very classic.
And then you've
There
got,
was
you know,
one
you
as
can do this
recent
with my
as,
back, just a place to prop
2009,
sit for a
I think
minute.
I found
Yeah,
that.
trash cans, Greg said the trash cans are pricey,
Those are
but
easy to clean.
easy to clean.
Yeah. They're nice.
I
There's
like
really
these,
some
and I think
fun.
And they
these are
had like
cheaper
a little
than
square
composite.
just about this big that had their name on the
Yeah.
back. And the
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
purple metal.
Yeah.
And these were the 900 maybe?
That's $9.95.
995?
Oh, now we're talking.
Is that composite metal?
No, it's just metal, man.
And
Probably
those-
steel.
Yeah, we just need to make sure we can bolt them to
I'm not
the,
no trouble with it.
I just thought that was
some of them
very
come with
classy.
hardware too. You can buy the
That's
hardware.
simple.
You can either buy it or
But
some,
they have that
I saw
up
some
there.
that I
They
was
turn
looking at
down where
actually
you can
came
attach
with
them.
it, so.
Oh, nice.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
That is good.
That is good.
That's only 900 bucks.
The stuff sometimes
I know.
they
And
knock
it's
off.
got the-
Wow, that ain't bad.
It's got
The legs are already made
metal.
to attach
Yeah.
to or something,
Okay.
so.
Like
I
you said,
this.
it'd be easy to
I think
clean
this
also
would be very nice in our city.
during the pollen days.
Everybody
Yeah.
wants
Those
Like
are
a white-
similar to,
like a fast
to
bird.
Textuals, but
Yeah.
not,
I
yeah.
like composite stuff, but it's toward it starts getting a little
I think
dingy
they're
after a
similar
while.
enough to where it
Yeah.
carries
So I
on
think
the
they stick
thing.
them metal
Those trees.
outside all year round with their
Yeah.
heat
And worst
coat.
case scenario, like
for
if for some reason
stuff
down
in-
the road,
Yeah.
Yes.
a long time down the
Yeah.
road, it started to
That
rust
might
or
be
whatever, you just
that
put a
might
new
be a
coat,
really
you
good
know,
idea.
Exactly.
power wash it.
Yep.
That's a good
sand it
point.
down.
Yeah, they're sustainable.
Do we want?
Yeah.
You just grind it the rest off.
But if we just
Right,
have
exactly.
one on
She just-
one end,
Okay.
one on the other.
She just made a good
end,
point
I'm
about
just-
the benches being metal. If they start rusting down the road, we can sit there
Power wash them,
and
power
paint
them
them
down
again.
and paint
It's
them
good,
down.
because that composite's will start getting
It's
worn.
magical
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
sure.
It's magical.
Yeah, the
Composite always
composite
loses its sheen after
It
a
does.
while, and it looks dull, and there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, I'll bet there's a coating that they can refinish it with, but,
I like the metal, just take the spray paint to it if you need
yeah.
to.
I mean, if you have to have them powder coated, that's even an option.
I'm sure it's
Yeah,
probably powder
absolutely,
coated coming
probably.
from the factory. I'm about to say.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
good
so
job.
just to recap really quick. Any legal form or sign off the city's gonna come up with. Jake, I have a name for you also to
Okay.
add to your quote list that
All
you're
right.
gonna
That'll
handle.
give us 3
That'll
quotes.
give us 3 quotes on the QR code signage, and we're going roughly with a 10 by whatever the standard
11.
cut, 10 by 11,
Or
as long as it's
yeah.
whatever
Yeah,
the
it's
standard
Yeah.
is,
Okay.
close to that.
Okay.
10 by 10, 10 by 11, 10 by 12, somewhere
Okay.
there. Let's see what else.
We need the number, that'll be.
Number of plaques.
Number of plaques.
Number of plaques is coming from Mayor Barker. He's
Okay.
got his list of buildings
Which
that
is,
he's gonna.
that's amendable, you know, we can say it costs this much for 10, okay, well, we'll just do 5, or what, you know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Yes.
So I'll email.
Okay.
I'll email the buildings.
Okay.
Yeah, Jake, they might be able to give you price breaks, like right then too, so it's
Sure.
like,
Sure.
So we got the price of the benches, once we get the QR price, we start moving down and be done with it at that point.
As
That's pretty
far as
simple.
a design and are we gonna give him like a, he might actually need the design. So are we gonna do like a mock-up of what that sign would look like and give
Yeah,
Probably
just a
something rough.
temporary QR code on there for placement and for aesthetics so they can see what they're doing?
yeah, I mean, I think, we can just pull a general QR code. The
Yes,
QR
yeah.
code's a QR code,
Yeah.
right? So we just gotta figure out any additional text, and if we're going to maybe attach a logo or something of that nature.
So the logo was a piece of that too, for your city of
This is
Copperhill.
34
Yeah.
Okay.
gallons, and that's the tiny
Okay.
one, yeah, that's a 45 gallon.
Okay,
I think this is sufficient.
who's doing the rough design?
yeah, who is doing the rough
To-
design?
to Jake?
Well, if you can,
This is double.
I'm
if we
open- I
can, if
do
you
it
tell me
if I
what
need
we're
to.
looking for, then I can let the
And then-
guys do the mock-up.
and then
We can make that part of the quote process, is what I'm saying.
We absolutely can. I think if we just give them, be like, here's just a
Okay.
very
Sure.
generalized, please do with it what you think
Okay.
is best.
Sweet.
At least they have something to go
Sure,
by.
sure.
Yeah.
Also, a question of for like, I don't know how in depth with the fonting and actual print on the signs, if there's a specific font to use that we want to use from the Renaissance booklet, or what logo will
That's
be?
the smaller bird. I've got them.
Yeah, that's kind of a
No,
question
I think
for
everybody's
sure,
happy with this.
is
The Queen of
I'll
Metal
ask him
Cassette
what's more-
collection.
I would-
Majestic
That would
digital
almost tie it to
What's
the
the logo
website,
you
just
want?
taking you to the website, grab the branding off the website.
Okay, great, perfect. And you already have those deals, okay.
Okay.
Minor hat with the 2
Is
picks.
there a way we can incorporate all of it?
Because we could
Well-
incorporate like the Copperhill logo that we have on the site, and then the
Yeah.
little pick and axe logo, like they can go opposite corners of the
Yeah,
bottom.
there you go. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Saul's right on this design idea, and he did mention what you just mentioned, which was the pickaxe. Incorporate both, one in each corner, so you have your Copperhill logo on one, and then your pick and axe on the other side.
Perfect.
Alright,
I
awesome.
would say we can put one in the middle of the QR code, but I think that just adds to complexity.
It
so-
might.
You're right, that was really cool though.
Good. All right, perfect. Donna's wanting garbage cans now.
Oh, because they're all matchy-matchy, it's like decorating.
You gotta get the pillows and match the curtain.
Of course, I'm looking for planners to go.
And then, yeah, the Tamerlan's looking for
Right,
matching.
and it's, I mean, you just opened up a whole lot right there.
Well, just so you know, it says the Queen
Oh.
of Metal Cassette
Fancy.
collection.
I love it.
Majestic, beautiful curves and customer favorite, popular slatted benches, picnic tables and benches, weather resistant, powder coated steel with high sheen
That's what
finish
we need.
and curved edges.
I just like that as one-stop shop, and if everyone
Yes.
agrees on what it looks like, then let's roll.
And this one
I like her
is
design.
not the same as the big. We don't have to do
And
that.
this one just like,
And then we do this on each
Jake,
side,
that's cool.
QR in the middle,
Yeah.
EST, and then here.
Pass that around,
that.
that's nice.
So this is kind of, just a quick sketch.
Yep.
So this is the city logo up top. We do the pickaxe, the shovel on each side, QR in the middle, EST.
Works
Dig
good.
it.
Nice, yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
Yep.
Landscape.
I like the landscape layout where it's
Yeah.
not a square.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
Okay.
then that'll play into your sizing, right? Like if it's in the landscape.
Right,
Just
sure,
ask.
sure.
That's great.
Okay, cool.
You want to
Yeah.
see?
The early program.
Did you show it to the?
I think
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Everybody.
A little something for the people at home?
I
Yes,
grabbed
I know you're deeply interested, so.
It's almost like I already have it in my head.
Yeah, we know what these are.
That's one I'll actually, that's wonderful.
You like this one?
Yes.
Okay.
The
good.
simple, it's powder coated like you said, it's gonna be durable. That's what I want.
It should last you a long time.
There you
I
go.
think it
It's
goes
gonna be
along
great.
with the theme of the town too.
Yeah.
I mean, we're historical and that's.
Yeah,
It goes,
Yeah.
it
It looks
reminds me
good.
of Savannah.
Good choice.
yeah.
Okay.
I dig it.
So we got prices on two of
I'll
them.
bet they want to give me my yard.
So,
On the van, on the
Just-
van.
that's what I think was fine.
well, you've got the magazine. So we're gonna bump the banner project down below the cans and this, okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, and we'll, you know,
I agree, it just
the
sounds.
city's gonna work
expensive.
also on the lighting, trying to figure out another way to go with that. And if we like this whole,
HC brand.
Yeah, and it's
So
just
you know,
on that little,
I wasn't wrong
just
on the
to-
exit
well, I
up here. It
remember
was
us
not
talking
always
about
dark
it.
like
That's
that.
been
There was a lot of
$1
poles until 2 years ago,
with-
but it was shining in people's windows and they
Oh,
took it down and
yeah.
moved it over.
Yeah, I go to church.
So
Not
I've
as
got
long as
that,
Is it? Yeah.
whatever he pulled up, I think
Okay.
is what Shannon is going
Yeah,
for.
she had mentioned something to me. I
It's-
didn't know that, I didn't even
It's a
connect it
whole
with this.
thing.
What do you call it?
Yeah.
Solar.
Oh,
Put out.
Oh, I like that.
You know, I've got one sitting in a box at the house
Solar would be
that I was
really
gonna put on the
awesome.
side of my house when COVID was sticking around.
This is what was 56.
Oh, now that's pretty. That'll go with the benches.
Or that's what we're saying.
Oh my God.
That's what we were looking at.
Yeah.
So we'll put up here.
Oh, yeah.
If she's not already ordered.
Is that
some.
the LED?
Can I?
That's the-
Well, I got the church.
So-
one, I don't need one.
Yes.
How much is that?
329.
I love that.
How tall is that?
Ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen,
yeah.
anybody,
Can you bolt it down
anything we
pretty good?
miss,
I don't know
anything you
if
can think of that we
Got
didn't
both-
cover,
both
like as
down
far as
pretty good.
duties or whatever?
Even though we had the
so.
things on the other side, they still
I
have
thought those would be a lot more money than that.
Man, I love
I
that.
don't
Do we have
It's
to
typically
do
400,
this
but
or
it's on
to
sale.
do-
We're okay, I just passed mine off. We're good.
So the way I see it, we got prices,
Yeah,
besides
yeah.
QR, we're good on everything besides QR. Once we get that QR, those others will be easy.
Yeah.
Anything else at 626?
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Alright, so I'm gonna, what I'll do, over the course of this week is I will get in touch with those guys. I'll loop you guys in on the quotes.
Yep, that's right.
And, get everybody all going on that.
Perfect.
See if everybody's available even
Yeah.
to do it, but,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a super labor intensive project, so.
Well, we have time on that
Right,
aspect,
right.
we just have to spend the monies.
Yeah, we just gotta get the numbers.
Right.
We gotta get the
The
numbers.
plan.
Yep.
When do we want to meet next?
Next week or a week and a half, give Jake time to get prices. What do y'all wanna do?
We can, I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly a week, hold on, let's see. what we
Jay,
We
got.
how
got,
much
now we
time
got
do
the
you need
council meeting next week.
I would
I
say,
can't do
I mean,
Monday.
obviously, we're kind of at the mercy of them replying to us. I would say that I should be able to get in touch with everybody. I don't, give me a week just to get in touch with everybody and see who gets back, right? And then we'll move from there.
Okay, tentatively, I'm
Yeah.
just looking ahead, wait, when is your council meeting?
Next Monday.
It's Monday. Please don't do it Monday.
No, what about the Monday after that?
What is everybody got
28th.
on the- What's the next Tuesday?
That will give
for
Jake,
everybody?
and just keep in mind there is a holiday in there, so he may not get immediate.
Why don't we go
responses.
when Jake finds out, that he can contact, and
Yeah, because
Okay.
we could do,
And we can put it on-
go with special call, right?
Well, this is not even.
This-
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
this is
not.
not even a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
So
I just need
28th,
to, I just want to
if we just
notify,
tentatively write it in, if we need to
everybody.
change it, we change it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You wanna go with 28?
If that's okay, because
48.
that's beginning of a week,
That's
we get
interesting.
past the
48
holiday,
Yes.
give them some time to make contact, and then,
That seems reasonable.
alright, okay.
Okay. I think that's a good idea.
That's 2 weeks, yeah.
Okay.
So next is 28.
Same time?
5:30 here?
Yeah,
Oh, we are on next week, but when are we meeting?
next week.
Next week.
Oh,
Council.
The council's Monday.
Oh,
Yeah,
And then
that's
so
what-
the council meeting will be at 5.
Yes, that's right.
We're gonna do 5 o'clock council meeting.
This coming Monday?
Yes, coming Monday,
Oh,
yes.
okay, I gotta
We'll do,
fix
we're gonna
that.
do a special meeting before our regular meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm glad you said that. That's,
You better be there.
Yeah, you might want to be there.
Alright,
Okay, so that's.
anything we
That's
forgot
okay.
or that we didn't cover?
Do not think so.
that is the 21st next Monday.
Yes.
sir.
All right, so
Okay.
everybody good?
Yep. Yeah.
That was smooth.
Good job.
Thank you.
It's 6:29.
Yes, I
Y'all
love
get it.
it.
Nice, everyone.
Thank you, thank you.
Don't love
Usually
me.
about